Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Power of Connection, the Power of Connection webinar. Just put in on the chat where you're tuning in from. We want to recognize you. We want to know who you are. So just put in the chat where you're tuning in live from. And welcome to an unforgettable 2 hours of your investment. Trust me, you're going to have a great time. Hi, Jasmine, all the way from Michigan. Yeah, one day I see you, New York. Hello. Or is there an issue with the feed? What feed? Hi, Brett. Hi, Zine. Hello from Arkansas. Well done, well done, well done. Thank you for tuning in. Who else is here? Wow, Soa from Virginia, Chisholm from New York, all over. Hi, Amy. Amy, I see you from New York. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, you can view now. Hi, Brett. Brett, where are you viewing in from? I love it. Where are you viewing in from? It'll be great to know. This is going to be an awesome time. This is definitely going to be an awesome time. Hi, Yokanda. Oh, from England. Welcome, Brett. From England. Yokanda, New York. I see you. Wow, we have folks from Lagos, Nigeria. We have Cece from France. We've got Margaret from New York. Wow, this is a global event. We've got Texas in the building. We've got Nigeria. Okay, I love it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Like I said, this is going to be a fun investment of your time. I have an excellent speaker who's going to be sharing some nuggets. We've got Michelle from Netherlands. Wow, I'm so humbled right now from everyone who tuned in. It's going to be worth your time. And I know it's kind of late in Europe right now and in Nigeria. So kudos to you for seeing the value of building the power of networks. Now, we want folks to participate. This is going to be a very engaging 2 hours. And we also would like to give prizes in addition to the giveaway prize that we plan on giving to everybody. We want folks to get an opportunity to win something like my book, So if you're here and you want to win a prize, put in the chat #connect, all lower caps, #connect. Hi, Funke. I see you're from New York. Welcome. So put in the chat #connect and you will take part in our raffle to win a book. Thank you, Logic. Logic is our producer. He's going to put it in there. Put in #connect. I see you guys. Wonderful. Well done, well done, well done. And we'll keep reminding folks to put in #connect so you can be part of the giveaway prize. But don't worry, everyone is going to get a gift by the end of this webinar. So welcome, welcome. I don't want to waste any more time because we have a lot of awesome things to get through, and we have an outstanding speaker that I cannot wait to bring on stage. But before then, it's good for us to set the scene, right? When we think about, let me ask you this question, right? When you think about networking, what comes to mind? Hi, Perry. Nice to see you. When you think about networking, what comes to mind? Is it joy? Is it fear? Is it chaos? Put it in the chat. When you think networking, what do you think about? What comes to mind when you think about networking? It's good for us to just get it out of our system. When I think about networking, I think work, but I also think fun. So what do you see? What do you see, or what do you think about when you hear networking? Put it in the chat. Let us know what that word is. What is your word that you associate with networking? Meeting new people. Nice, Jasmine. Yes. Mixed feelings. Cece, I see you. Small talk, nothing to contribute. Oh, yes, I completely agree. I understand where you're coming from because I've been there. All right, what else? What else? When you think networking, what else comes to mind? What comes to mind? Put it in there. It's okay. Relationship building, Amy, I see you. Relationship building, yes. Networking, relationship building. Okay, we've got some OGs in the house. Knowledge, performative, meaning, you have to put on a show. I get it. Exchanging of ideas. Okay, so coming from a place of curiosity. Right. Transaction. Whew. Can I get an amen? Transaction. Connecting and finding mutual beneficial ways to support each other. Awesome. That's a good one. A bit of anxiety. So being anxious, not knowing who to talk to, a little bit overwhelming. I get it. Big crowds scare me. Small crowds, I have a little bit of confidence. Community. Yes, Serena. Community. What? Yes. What else? When you think about networking, what comes to mind, right? Is it joy? Is it curiosity? Is it partnership? Is it community? Is it anxiety? All of these answers are right. There's no wrong answer here. Get into perspectives, high wisdom, learning opportunities, expanding your knowledge. Yes. Is it learning? Connected. Speaking of connecting, if you just joined us and you want to be part of our raffle draw and prize, put in #connect so you can be part of the draw. Okay? Type in hashtag connect if you're just joining us now. Okay. So before we get into the meat of what we're about to do today, I want to address everyone who's on this webinar. This webinar is for you. It is not by chance that you're here. It is for you, and what you're going to get from it is going to propel how you see networking going forward, right? You're ambitious, you're hardworking, you know your stuff, but then you get stuck because you don't know how to connect all these wonderful things that you have to the rest of the world. This is where networking comes in. I remember when I had a colleague tell me that you have so much to offer. Why don't you put this in a paper and go network? And when I heard network, I froze, because the last thing I want to do is approach a stranger and tell them about myself. I'm like, why do they need to know? I work hard. My hard work should speak for itself. Yes and no, because there are a lot of people that value what you bring to the room, but may never have the opportunity to see your work. So we need a little bit of visibility. And this is where networking becomes super, super critical. The reason why I wrote the book, Power of Connection, was because I wished I had someone show me the steps in breaking down this so-called concern about networking with people. So we're going to do that. And we're going to hear from a wonderful, wonderful speaker, a seasoned executive, someone who's been in the business for many years and can speak to how networking is one of the principles that have stood the test of time. Networking didn't just start today. It didn't start 10 years ago. It didn't start 20 years ago. It did not start 100 years ago. Networking has been in our existence since the beginning of time. And this is why, if we all can nail it down, we will be making leaps and bounds in our careers. So who's ready to learn about networking? Who's ready to get more tips on networking? If you're ready, just say me. I know I'm ready, because I'm going to learn a lot today based on the questions that I have for our guest speaker, right? So who's ready? Just say me. I'm ready. Yes. Tell me you're ready. I need to feel a little bit of ready energy. Okay. Awesome. Now, a lot of you don't know who I am. Some of you do. But I think it's fair for those who are just meeting me for the first time to know who I am and why I am so excited to bring this knowledge to you. So my name is Nogie Udevbulu. Yes, and I am a Wall Street executive. I lead a portfolio management business for one of the largest asset management firms in the world. And so it brings me so much joy to take all the lessons that I've learned over the years, the people that I've met over the years, and share what has stood consistent, why I can be, after 25 plus years in the industry, still excited to talk about networking and how this has actually transformed the way I show up in rooms, the way I show up in my business, and the way I lead my team today. Not only am I a finance executive, I am also the founder of NUU Coaching. Yes, I started this company 6 years ago, and what I do is create spaces, create opportunities like this one, including conferences that empower people to move forward and thrive in their career. So, if you resonate with all of what I'm saying, say nice to meet you. Just the same way I'm saying hello to everybody who's been coming in and logging in. Nice to meet you all. And yes, that's my story. Also, I'm also human, right? I am a mother, I am a wife, I have 2 kids. And yes, I juggle work and I juggle the home, and I do it with joy because God has given me the tools to be able to manage it, right? I'm not saying balance, I'm saying seasonal. We have to figure out what comes first each time, right? So that's it for me. And one last thing, I did author a book called Power of Connection, right? It is a guide for professionals from the diaspora. But honestly, for everyone who's read the book, and I look forward to hearing your view on the book, it is for everybody. Thank you, Logic. You already had an ad for me. So yes, I'm the author of Power of Connection, the real reason why we're having this webinar today. And I cannot but be so excited to introduce to you our speaker for today. Everyone, please welcome Brian Smith.
Good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Delighted you could join us today.
Wonderful. Hi, Brian. Now, before we start the questions with Brian, I think it's fair that I give you a little bit, like a snippet of what Brian brings to the room. Okay. So Brian brings decades of leadership experience as a retired corporate officer, a former global HR leader. He's also a board member. He's a mentor. He's an ally to professionals navigating career growth, visibility, and workplace influence. Brian is someone you'll be so excited to hear from. You want to hear his perspective. He's seen it all. He's seen different cycles of everything. And I'm super, super excited because Brian just likes to bring perspective when it comes to building relationship, how to build it with authenticity, how to build it with confidence, and how to build it with purpose. So Brian, it is an honor to have you here. And I'm pretty sure the chats are going to start blowing when we start with the Q&A. You ready?
I'm ready. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Just so you know, I have a paper, I have a pen, because I also will be taking notes from Brian. I'm learning just as much as you are. And the reason why this is happening was through the power of connection. My meeting Brian was an absolute example of connection. I met someone who came to my event a year ago, and then she introduced me to Brian. Brian and I, funny enough, we're already connecting on LinkedIn. So do not be shocked where your next connection can come from. What you're seeing right now is a classic example of building networks with purpose and with intention. And that's why Brian and I can be here to talk about the power of connection. All right. So we're ready. So Brian, just so we can warm up the room, I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions. You ready for me?
Okay, ready.
Okay. All right. So this is Sunday afternoon, but I'm sure it might be morning in some places and evening. But let me ask you, When you're about to have a meeting with someone you don't know, do you want a coffee chat or do you want a formal meeting? Coffee chat or formal meeting? And
Oh,
for those of you on the chat, you can put in your choices: coffee chat
please.
or formal meeting. So
Yeah,
Brian,
I fully expect to learn today as well. And I just want to start by saying it's an honor to be in conversation with you, Nogie. So thank you for our connection. I'm a coffee chat guy, so I think that'll work for me.
nice, nice. I like coffee chats too. Well, more like tea chats because too much coffee, I get very excited. Okay. Oh, okay. We see
Okay,
coffee
wisdom.
chats. We see formal meetings. Okay. I like walk and talks. I like walk and talks too. I do, especially in the summer. All right. Another question, rapid fire. LinkedIn message or email introduction?
Oh, LinkedIn. I swear by
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
That's how we met. LinkedIn.
It's how we met, and I think it's a bit more informal, and it allows us to bring a little more of our authentic self to it,
Nice.
a little more fun, I think.
Cool. Okay. So LinkedIn or email introduction. What do you guys like? LinkedIn or email introduction? All right. When you're meeting someone for the first time, do you prepare or is it spontaneous? So preparation or spontaneity?
Well, let's remember this is a professional engagement, so I swear by prep.
Okay.
Spontaneity is great, but as we in an earlier conversation said, just like in jazz, you can improvise, you can be spontaneous when you have done the work.
Yes.
So preparing with whom you'll be speaking a little bit, I think preparing lets you relax.
That's true. Okay. You heard it. I see both. I see the pens. I see prep all the way. Prep, prep, prep. I prep. I would do, even if I have like 5 minutes, I would find a way to prep. Preparation is always key. You can't go wrong. All right. Next question. One-on-one conversation or big networking events?
Oh, I've done both, but I think there are different purposes. Big network event is, in my experience, going to be more information, and the
Okay.
one-on-ones are relationship building. Uh, it's
Mm.
it's tough to meet a crowd, but one-on-ones while preparing again is I think really helpful.
Okay. So you guys hear it, right? In the crowd, good introduction, but the real relationship building starts with one-on-one. See, we're already getting tips from the rapid fire, right? In the crowd, you have introductions, but the real relationship building surely comes with the one-on-one, with that follow-up. Great. Awesome. All right. I'm trying to see if we should save some of this rapid fire for later, but I can't help but ask a question. Given your years of experience, what is one word that describes great leadership?
Oh, I I'm going to swear by humility.
Mm,
Humility in leadership. The great risk of leaders in their positions is a certain arrogance that comes from the success. And now I'm in the position, so I must know all the answers, right? And the best leaders with whom I've had the privilege to work are intellectually curious and open to learning. I'd like to underscore that, being open to learning. And that's a certain humility, which is right part of our power of connection
yeah.
and this networking conversation, to be open in that manner.
Mm. Woo, are you guys hearing this? Are you hearing this? Humility, intellectually curious, open to learning, learning, learning. Yes, so a learning. Togetherness, sissy. Yes, yes. Okay. One more question before we move into the real meat of today. Okay. What is one networking practice you still believe in today?
Oh, it's muscle memory. It's practice.
Mm,
I so enjoyed seeing some of the comments warming up around, is this performative? Is this inauthentic? I'm scared to death. I'm more of an introvert, and I think just practicing And that experience of being welcomed into a conversation will build that memory for you. And it's a skill like any other.
Mm, mm. Practice, practice, practice.
Practice, practice, practice.
It's a muscle. I mean, but it's summertime, right? And of course, summertime, we like to show off our buds. And those people who have six packs, like Yetunde, I know you, she didn't just get the six packs overnight. She has been working hard. I mean, this lady runs marathons. But if I tried to run a marathon by just practicing for one run overnight, I will probably faint by the second mile. So it says it's the same thing with networking. It's a muscle. You've got to build that muscle. The more you practice, the more it becomes natural, the more you can connect, build the relationships, and have conversations like what Brian and I are having right now. Okay, so Brian, we've done the rapid fire. Now we're going to get into the meat of today's conversation. Is everyone feeling this? If you're following, just type in follow. Type in follow because it's about to get real. Okay. All right. So before we get into the topic of networking, I think it'll be great for folks to hear your career journey. Like, tell us a little bit about your journey and what has shaped you most as a leader.
Yeah, thank you. Mine has been a global HR career. The business card has always said HR, but the people I most respect in HR are true business partners, learning the business, understanding the business so that you can really add value. And so I have had a very, very fortunate career in working with great leaders in complex global businesses, which is a humbling experience. The world is a huge market of intimate diversity. And I think being open to that has been a great treasure of my career. So I've traveled the world. I have more miles now clocked than I know what to do with, but it has been such an enriching experience. I'm a very lucky guy. I have built companies. When we dabbled into private equity, I've worked in Fortune 50 companies and smaller entrepreneurial organizations. I've had a lot of fun. I've made some of the greatest friendships of my life. I've learned from virtually everybody. Even bad bosses, which sadly you cannot avoid. I may have learned more from bad bosses than some of the great leaders like Reuben Mark of Colgate and others. Very, very lucky indeed.
Wow, that's amazing. So let me ask you. Well, you actually mentioned someone's name, which is kind of cool. But of all the business leaders that you've had the opportunity to work with, which business leadership style would you say stuck with you, that even after you left that company or that leader, you still took the lessons from that leader to keep moving forward? Which one?
Yeah, I have kind of, thank you. That's a really good question, Nogie. I have modeled my work style around the notion of appreciative inquiry, which you can Google. It's from the 80s, but it is a means by which we can learn. So, and I think it'll be an incredible tool for people to practice around authenticity and bringing, your worth to the conversation, to the relationship. And again, the best leaders have learned this. I don't think any of our great leaders were necessarily just natural. So they have learned. And I think that's the great news for all of us, because all of us can learn these skills. And it's a little bit scary. And we'll talk about that over the next hour. And I totally get it. Me too. Absolutely. But with some practice and with some guidance, and oh yeah, there is a book, Power of Connection, which is very helpful. you can develop these skills and be less frightened by it, and I totally get that, and become rather proficient, and the benefits you'll enjoy are real.
Mm, mm. Appreciative inquiry. I put it in the chat because I also want to make sure I remember. Awesome. Now, my next question, as we delve into connection, you've worked at the intersection of strategy, of culture, and talent, right? How do you define connection based on that professional context?
Yes. Connection is a twofold skill set, I think. Step one is the big picture. And I talked about learning your business, learning your craft, whatever ecosystem in which you are operating. If you're in HR, if you're in finance, if you're in marketing, if you're in production, learning how those piece parts operate and connect is key. And only that, and that's what I talked earlier about, doing the work, is learning the business. And in and of itself, it's an end in itself. By expressing interest in learning the business, your partners are going to appreciate that. They're going to feel that. And I have never found people reticent to tell you what they do. They wish to share. And that expertise develops the vocabulary you'll have in whatever operation, whatever organization, civic, corporate, no matter what. Learning the big picture and then how I fit and what is my role. And it's, as we talk about connecting and networking, it's people forget, well, what are you doing here? You know, what will you do for me? You know, where's the value add for me with you walking into this organization? And so that connectivity, that curiosity, appreciative inquiry, asking, learning, while not forgetting to share, oh, and this is what I'm about, is very productive.
So I want to bring it to light what you just said, because it's so true. As you were talking, I was thinking about all the different experiences I've had over the years. One of them is really showing that need to learn about the business so you can connect the bigger picture. And I can't overemphasize how critical that is. If you really want to know the value of your seat, you have to know how it connects with everything else. And how you know how it connects with everything else is the driver to go meet other people to learn about why they did what they did or why they're in the seats that they're in, because it helps you to piece the puzzle together. Some of the reasons, or one of the major reasons why I've been able to move from one major financial services company to another is because of the ability to connect the dots and speak on behalf of the company, like speak on behalf of connecting or seeing how the services that the company renders is critical to the rest of the world, right? So where you are, it's twofold. Where you are is having that desire to learn about why the company you work for exists. And when you do that, it allows you to really hone in on why your role is important. Every role at every company is super important. There's no waste of time. There's no waste of money or energy. The role you play is so critical. But for you to understand that critical part of your role, you've got to understand how it connects with the rest of the firm. So you see, it's less about you. When it comes to networking, it's less about you. It's more about the bigger picture, the purpose that the company or the business is trying to solve for. So thank you, Brian. That was so good. And that brings me to my next question. I know we asked the attendees, like the audience, about the word they think of when they hear networking. What about you? When people think about networking, I mean, you saw it. You saw anxiety, you saw pressure. How do you define networking? what feels on what makes it feel authentic, and then what makes it feel transactional?
Yeah, and I think that's the key word. The risk is transactional,
Mm.
and I think the fear on both sides. If I'm reaching out to someone, or if someone is asking for time with me, I apologize. Um, is it a transaction? Am I just rattling off, a need, an ask? And there's nothing wrong with an ask, but I know most of us will respond better if we are experiencing that connection. If we understand, my motive. Am I interested in your industry? Am I
Mm.
interested in your company? You know, what is the purpose of the call? And so many people miss that. It's counterintuitive to me, but so many people come in with a shopping list or something, and then it's, frankly, it's a 5-minute conversation. But if I am sincere, and I am curious, and I am sincere in trying to make a connection, to build a relationship, I find people are very welcoming. People respond beautifully to that. And so it's the opportunity. I really ask folks to think about this. It is the opportunity to connect and to bring something to the party. So we'll talk about some tactics later and this and that, but have something along. I came across an article, in your industry or in your discipline. I came across a really interesting article, and I'd be curious of your thoughts on this. And I've sent it along. And can we talk about that? Are you free for coffee within your own organization? That building of trust and of displaying one's competence, and in fact openness to learning, is invaluable. And it just, those concerns, in my experience, melt away.
Mm. So I heard curiosity of the other person that you want to meet, curiosity that that they're also trying to solve problems,
Yes.
curiosity about their own background and how they got there. It is coming from a place of curiosity. That's the thing. That's the unlock. If you can network with that willingness to learn rather than the willingness to get, it removes the transactional purview and makes it authentic. So you can see that you don't have to say hello to everybody. You have to say hello to those you really are curious to know and learn. And I know as leaders, I on average, I get like 3 or 4 juniors that want to connect with me. And I can tell the difference between the ones who come in that have done their homework because they're curious is so amazing. They tell me things that I've said in the past. I want me to go into more detail about those things that I said, right? Unlike someone just wanting to share about who they are and what they do. And I'm like, okay, great to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is I bore easily. And I think the worst statement I can make is if someone is boring me or something. And the best way to bore me is selling. So take a deep breath. Understand that it's not a 5-minute conversation. It's a process. Trust in that investment, and bring something to share. Even the questions, again, people will respond to sincerity and an actual curiosity about something that you are doing in your role. How did you become the CFO of this organization? You've been here, I know, because I've done you've been here 8 or 9 years. I think you came in through audit. Is that true? And people will blossom in front of you if it's sincere. Not, hey, I wanted to meet with you because I'm interested in a position in your department. Yeah, that can come. but all of a sudden I'm going, yeah, like 20 other people, thank you very little. But if I can find time to learn, that is sending me a very clear message around that humility, that open to learning. And it is a mindset that these days is not very common. I think, business has grown more coarse over the last decade or so. We cut and ask people to do more with less. It's a very tough environment, and we see burnout is epidemic, et cetera. All of these conditions can melt away, I promise you, if you ask for a meeting and you come interested in learning. It's the secret sauce. It's the biggest secret, and people will warm to you and spend time and say, and you know who you should meet? You should meet Mark in marketing. He's doing exactly what you've been talking about. And all of a sudden it connects. And then, Mark, I met with Mary, and she was working about how she became CFO, and she suggested I talk to you. Oh yeah, Mary, come on over. It happens, and it doesn't need to be fear inducing. Right. It can be genuine. It can be learning, and there's nothing more inviting than, gee, I didn't know that. Tell me more. And now you're having a conversation, and it's very powerful. It's very human.
There's a question on the chat, which, hi, Natalia. So this is a wonderful lady who's done like great things. And she asked the question, what makes transactional relationships a taboo? Before you answer, I do want to, I want to address this. I don't think anybody said transactional relationships are a taboo. It is the timing in which you make those transactional ask. Right? If you're meeting someone for the first time, do you make a transactional ask at that time? Or do you think they are worthy of building a relationship with? If it's transactional and it's transactional, so be it. But when it comes to networking and when it comes to the power of connection, relationship building is what we're focusing on, not transactions. Can transactions happen in the relationship? Yes, but that's not the crux of it. I am yet to meet anyone who's built relationship over time that doesn't have transactions embedded in it over time. It will come. Yes. We're humans. We have needs, right? But how do you start that relationship? Do you start with a transaction, or do you start with curiosity? And Brian, I would love to hear your perspective on that too.
Yeah, thank you. It is a conversation. It is a relationship. It can be passing and fleeting. It can be unsatisfying, or it can be the beginning of something. And I think there's nothing wrong with having an ask. Steve Jobs once was quoted as saying, I've never been turned away as a kid. It's just starting out. I've never been turned away if I asked for someone's help, asked for someone to benefit from their expertise. So it's not that the ask is wrong, but it's just, you must invest for a while. You must invest. Don't wear it on your sleeve. It's okay to say, I've learned a bit about you in the company, or I've learned about your company if it's external, and I'd love to, do you have 10 minutes? Do you have a coffee? Can we meet? And it will blossom. I think we fear rejection. We fear, and you know what? So what? So what? Next. That's okay, because I cannot promise you that everyone will welcome you with open arms.
That's true.
But it's a majority. It's a very clear majority. And they'll say, this week is bad, but, what do you look like on the 15th? Mm. Yeah, terrific. And be prepared. The people who get into most trouble have 5 minutes of preparation in mind. Oh, I've got your name. I know you're the CFO, or I know you're the director of marketing, and can I meet with you? Well, what for? Well, I hadn't really thought about that. I'd like a job. It does not help. Who wants to be presented with that? None of us, I think. But rather, I followed you, or I read an article about you or about your company, and I'm so interested in that.
All right. So you've heard from Brian. We touched on things. Transactional relationships are not a taboo. The timing, the process is much more critical. Okay, so we're going to shift it into mindset shifts. Now, for those of you who have been following NUU coaching over the years, and I know I've got some loyal followers on the chat, we have this annual conference that is all about mindset shifts, which is tiny little changes that propel you to where you want to go in your professional and personal life, right? So we're going to have some mindset shift questions around networking. And a lot of the things that we just talked about, they're in the book. But then if you want an in-person community style environment, then the Shift Conference is where folks should sign up, which is coming up in October. But let's get back to the questions, right? So Brian, what mindset shift do professionals need to make if they want to transform the way they build relationships?
Wow. This could be a little controversial. I think it's know your worth. Know your value.
Can we get an amen on the chat there, please?
Yeah. I'm in so many conversations with people who say, I fear networking because I'm, in whatever way they express it, I'm just not good enough. I'm just not up to par. I want to talk to this person, but they're so accomplished. They're so far ahead of me. No. We have to try to shed that, even if it's performance art at the beginning, even if you practice in front of the mirror for a while. Know your worth. You have value. You can be entry level. You can be, in business for 30 years. You have value. And don't be shy. Don't be afraid of that. Certainly in a job interview, if you're connecting with someone to talk about a company or an opportunity, they are expecting this. But even in more general conversation, understand why you are there. Your organization made a decision, probably over many other people, to join our team. Not in an arrogant sense, but in a proficiency, in a competence. And I think gender gets involved in this, ethnicity gets involved in this, how we were raised. Humility can be a curse also if we're not mindful of the value we bring. And so being prepared, again, I cannot stress this enough, having a full conversation prepared in your head, your background, your own personal value proposition is so important, because as the other person, I'm waiting to hear it. I don't know. You must tell me. You must educate me about you. Hopefully I'm opening the door for you, but even if it's a little contrived at first, the reason your company is so interesting to me is in my background. I've had the opportunity, or I was on this team, and it just, whatever the circumstances, to be prepared. And when you have done the homework and you are scripted in your own mind about your own personal value, you can now be open to the conversation. You can be spontaneous because you've done the work.
This brings me to a story. I remember the first time I was told that I was going to be presenting to my company's board of directors. Oh my goodness. I literally was praying for the earth to swallow me so I wouldn't have to do anything because in my mind, I mean, the board of directors of these companies are CEOs of mega billion-dollar companies, right? What do they want to hear from someone like me? So I was ready to bail. I was already looking for somebody to take my spot, to be like, I don't think I have anything to share and all of that. And I remember one of the senior managers, just at the time I was ready to present, like took a piece of paper and wrote on the paper and walked by my office and put it in front and said, "You are enough." Just as I was about to present to the board of directors. And I can't tell you how helpful that was. Now, for that person to do something like that, understand that I've already established like a networking relationship. I needed advice. I went to him and I said, "Well, I'm presenting to the board. I'm not sure." And he just said, "You got this. You can do it." But he walked by my office because then it was in the middle of the pandemic and put that and said, "You're enough," right? For me as a Christian, there is a scripture in the Bible that I use often before I present. And mind you, now I actually present to board of directors every quarter. I still go into the bathroom and I recite, "You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You've got this. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. You've got this." Of course, did I prep? Yes, I prepped. I over prep. But I still go into the bathroom and call the word of God over my life. But just to tell you the value of knowing your worth, even as an analyst, when you come in with curiosity to learn about someone, trust me, your brain is already coming up with ideas and questions to respond, right? So your worth is beautiful. And remember, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. The fact that you have a seat in that organization says a lot about you and the value you bring to the room. So hold on to that. So thank you, Brian. And I love how you segued into women and minorities, because the next question is about that. And I think we have quite a number of women joining us live. For women and minorities, networking can sometimes feel complicated by access, by representation, or the feeling like they're an outsider. For those of us in financial services, I mean, the percentage of women is still it's still low. Can I say very low? It's still low, right? So, what advice would you give to someone who feels like they're not in the room yet? I just give you an example of my life, but it would be good to hear from you. What advice, given your extensive experience in human resources, what advice would you give minorities and women as they listen to you today?
Yes, this is so important. And this notion of, getting into the room, getting into the boardroom, whatnot, there are obstacles. Make no mistake. The key that I have seen some brilliant women engage in is work the outside, work the relationships, work the task forces, the volunteer boards, the relationships. Something like 80 odd percent of jobs filled are not advertised. That's a stunning statistic.
I need to type that in the chat. Please say it again.
Yeah,
80%.
almost 80% of positions filled in the United States are not and never advertised. They are in someone's thought. A CEO, a department head, a manager is thinking about their team, their department, their function, macro or micro, and they're thinking. And so it's not who you know, it's who knows you.
Ooh.
And that's outside the boardroom. But the best way to be invited in to a position of authority, of expertise, of influence, is to show people what you can do and then get asked. That's how it happens. And so I have been hired by someone who runs a company but was on a board that I was doing volunteer work on early in my career because it was meaningful to me, and there's nothing like that. Volunteering your office space to a group, volunteering time to a group, building those relationships. There's an old line about never have lunch alone. There is someone you can have lunch to and with. And that's either, frightening, but you will get over it. A cup of coffee, at the end of the day, if a group is going out, if there is an organization that you are interested in, trust me, they're going to want your help. And you work in that. I have been invited to join more organizations than I think I've applied to. And it's come through some very interesting routes. And the question I used to have somebody is, how did you learn of me? And they said, well, Bob and X, Y, and Z. And so that's real. And I didn't know that guy because I was looking for a job, 3 years earlier. I met him on a board. I met him in an organization doing volunteer work. And if you are sincere and if you are going to put the work in, you will be noticed, you will be invited, and you will ultimately see those positions become available. I am quite certain of that.
And you know why I love the responses Brian is giving is because I have like practical stories, right? Like my most recent job was not advertised. My most recent job at the firm I'm in was not advertised. I actually heard about it through a networking conversation.
Yes.
A relationship that I've harnessed over the years. And we talk every week. And this lady said, we're looking for someone who can cover this investment team. And we can't find somebody. And I said, well, actually, I'm happy to do it. Literally, just raised my hand. And then the interview process started. This job was not advertised. There wasn't any job rec. It didn't go out of the company. It wasn't even advertised within the company. It was conversation. So this thing is real. And it's no respecter of background, gender, race. It's no respecter of it. This is why I keep talking about connection and networking, because the power of it is real and it has stood the test of time. So yes. Oh, I see another question. Brian, how do you stay top of mind? The Wall Street Journal mentioned the average person knows 450 plus people. What's a best practice for people to know you and remember you? That's a great question, Perry.
Yeah, thank you, Perry. That's an excellent question. And off the top of my head, forgive me, is one of authenticity. You will not be top of mind with everybody. It'll be best from a position of self-interest if you are top of mind with the right people who are best aligned to your interests, to your discipline, to your career, whatever it is that is your motivation professionally. That's going to be a subset. And having a deeper relationship versus, miles and miles wide is something I'd recommend you consider. Having meaningful relationships in your world, in your sphere of influence and interest, is going to reflect back to you so well. So it's not about, I have to have 15 coffees in the next month. I have to do this. I have to do. Rather, what piques your interest? What speaks to you? And find those people. You only need one. Now, of course, the joke is I don't know which one that is, but I would not waste a lot of time peripherally. I would commit to a career path or whatever that interest is professionally, in the arts, wherever, and focus and do your homework and be known repeatedly over time, sincerely. Say, I really enjoyed our conversation yesterday and I saw this article that I thought of you. Someone said that notion of, oh, I was thinking of you yesterday and I wanted to call is powerful stuff. It's flattering, it's endearing, it hopefully is sincere. And they'll say, oh, well, what were you thinking? Well, I had this article, and just the conversation. But if you practice these skills, they become easier, they become more natural. A sense of humor can be introduced. It warms the relationship, and they are memorable. So I don't know about 450 people, but I know a couple of dozen people well in my channel that I invest in, and then guess what? It comes back to you. And they will invest in you, and they'll say, hey, I don't know if you're happy in your role at XYZ, but I was talking, or we're thinking of, and would you like to come in and talk about it? And that's how it does happen.
Wow. I'm looking at time. I'm trying not to be so time sensitive, but man, time is going. But I actually want to touch on a question that Deborah asked. And I know we kind of touched on it earlier in our conversation, which is, how do you network beyond your immediate line of management in your current company as a woman? You know what? I would say, how do you network beyond your line of management in your current company? Because networking, like I said, is gender agnostic. It is background agnostic. It's race agnostic, right? So one of the things Brian had mentioned earlier is the ability to learn. It's twofold. Like, it's the ability to learn about what you do by connecting everything else. So when you say, how do you network beyond your immediate line of management? What are the other divisions that connect with your team? So that's a very practical question that I'm giving to you. So write it down. What are the other divisions that connect with your team? Now, for these various divisions that connect with your team, which one of them do you find intriguing and interesting? That's how you build network. So maybe you've seen emails of someone coming to your team, sending messages to your team quite often. Are you intrigued? Are you curious? How about you reach out to them to say, I've seen you send emails concerning this. I want to learn more. Can we meet up for coffee? Do you see you've now branched out of your immediate? You're now talking to other divisions that are not necessarily part of your inner circle. And that's how you start to meet different people. I'll give you an example. When I was at an investment bank, my role was to understand the companies that go in and out of benchmarks, like the S&P 500, like the Dow Jones. That was my role. And I also started getting curious about how other divisions use that information. And then I started setting up meetings with the other divisions that would reach out to me asking questions, because I wanted to understand how, outside of my immediate team, how were they using it, and if there were better ways of getting them the information that they needed. And that's how I started building relationships. It turns out, because of that extra step of networking with other divisions, we came up with better ways to win billion-dollar transactions by shaping the information they needed in a way that resonated with their own client. So now I'm connecting the dots. What I do with regards to index and benchmark can help investment banking, can help trading, can help swaps, can help corporates, like CFOs of an institution. I now had a very broad perspective of how that one thing that I did affected decisions of different groups. But it starts with you getting curious about why that side division is interacting with your team, and you just understanding what it is that they need and seeing if there's a better way to make the interaction better, right? So that's how you start. You start with curiosity, going beyond what your line of management does and seeing how other lines of management connect with your line. Is that helpful, Deborah? Let me know. But I wanted to touch on that, and then we'll go on to the next question. So the next question is a very practical one. We've probably touched on it, but it's good to help. What are some common mistakes that make people think when they think about networking? Like, what are some common mistakes people make when they think about networking?
What's the why? What's the why in it? Why would I reach out to this individual? And this comes back to prep again. I have learned that this individual is running a department, running an organization, and is aligned to my interests in some manner. And then it's to understand that and to express it. The big mistake is in lack of prep. And it's, the skills that got you here will not help you on the next step. It's to be prepared so that if I'm the person, naturally ask, well, how did you get my name? And then I cave. Well, humana. No, you have to be prepared to engage, and you have to be prepared. They used to say comedians need 30 minutes of material for a 5-minute set, because you're going to have to pivot. You're going to have to be open to the learning and be responsive. You're going to need to immediately modify your self-script to engage in a conversation. We do so socially, but then we tend to forget this in a business. We are either intimidated or we're thrown off. It is not unknown for someone to throw you a curveball. But if you are prepared and you can respond, with a chuckle, with a oh my, or wow, I was not expecting that. Well, this since you asked, this is what I think about that. You have to have a volume of interest and prep around it so that you don't end up unprepared, because that meeting will be over. And it's the old leave them wanting more. I so enjoyed this conversation. Let me get you that piece, and perhaps we can talk next month on this. Keep it open. These are skills, and you are working. This is such an important part of your professional development and your career management. No one else, I promise you, is going to take the same level of interest in your career as you must.
Woo.
And that means prepare more than you think you need, because that CFO who's going to give you 10 minutes might be intrigued by you, and they may keep the conversation going longer than you ever thought. You pop in thinking, they said I got 10 minutes with this guy, and so I'm going to have 10 minutes. And then he says, well, it's interesting that you mentioned, the European trade with X, Y, and Z, or whatever it is. And they may be testing you. It may be sincere. It may be because he's one of those 80% who are thinking of a job that they've got or are planning on. And maybe something you said just sparked that interest. So you better be prepared to expand upon it and to seize the opportunity. So all of that preparation just to be spontaneous in the moment with someone important.
You hear that? Prepare to be spontaneous. So, it's like that saying about luck comes to those who are prepared. This is the same thing, right? Luck comes to those who are prepared, meaning somebody was already doing the work. Somebody was already doing the work before the opportunity came. So same thing with networking, prep, so that you can be spontaneous. You can be preparedly spontaneous, if that's actually a word, So yes. All right. So Brett is sharing some things here. One of the mistakes when I speak to someone is that I have in the back of my mind that I want them to buy me, which I am sure puts people off. How do you invest time in relationship without the fear that it may be taking time from growth? Interesting. If the investment in the relationship is an opportunity to grow, then it's not a bad thing, is it now, right? It is the how are you approaching those relationships? Are you approaching from a place of curiosity? All of this is in the book, but I love to emphasize to people. I even posted something on LinkedIn in the past week about approaching networking as an act of service, because it becomes authentic. It's not transactional. It's not performative. If you're coming from as an act of service, like what keeps you up at night that maybe I can help you solve, it changes the dimension of that conversation. So it won't look like you're selling, right? Which is not what relationship building is all about. All right. Time is running. So we're going to move. We're shifting from mindset shift questions now to career questions. And I know we've been feeding a lot of this into the conversation so far, but from your seat as a CHRO, which is Chief Human Resource Officer, what did you notice about people who advanced in their careers? How did they build visibility? I think this is critical for all of us at all levels on this chat. If you believe it's critical, type in critical on the chat.
Oh yeah, yes, yes. Now we're getting to it. I have often coached people at all stages of their career. Some of you who are on this chat have heard this from me before, to become the indispensable resource. Become indispensable. Become reliable. Become expert. Continuous learning. Continuous improvement. I'm a big fan of Kaizen, and just every day better. This is hard work. So the kiss of death is that arrogance of the expertise. I am learning every day, and what I don't know can fill the planet. Hopefully you enjoy learning continuously, but the thing that stands out is when you are indispensable, and everybody in the organization knows it. Everybody knows. Everybody knows who the losers are. I'm being quite candid here. And everybody knows it's about 5% unscientific, but maybe about 5% of the population throughout the organization. It's not the top 5% ever. But throughout the company, there are people who have become known. Who knows you? You may not know them, but I've heard of you. Oh, yeah, that guy, that woman. Yeah, she's been here about 2 years now. Yes. Did she lead to that? Yes. I want to meet her. 5% or so in the organization. Be in that 5%. Say yes to opportunities, say yes to task forces and teams and projects. Learn. I know nothing about that. I told someone last year, I know nothing about that, but I love to learn about it. I've seen what you did on that, and I saw what you did on that. I'd like you to lead this effort. Sometimes you have no business thinking you're prepared. People may see things in you that you do not see in yourself yet. So be open to it. Be indispensable. That person always gets it done. They get it done. And if I'm a manager or if I'm a CEO, I need people who are relatively low drama and will get it done, can work and play with others. And that's all about expressing interest in others. Again, circle back to number one. It's authenticity about, I don't know much about the operations of the organization, down in the engine room. I don't know how things get processed, at Visa, MasterCard, or at Citi or something. Learn, get on a team. You can be an HR person, you could be a marketing person, you could be a finance person, and express interest in, I'd like to learn how that works. And they will love it. They will welcome you. You can sit in. We do a monthly or we do a weekly staff meeting. We go through all the projects. You can sit in. Don't say a word, but absorb and watch others and learn how those dots connect and be indispensable. The only person who knows a little bit about all of these different things, is you. So would you join this team? And it happens. But you got to work for it. You got to be ready to put in time to learn, and to show what you don't know yet. In corporate life, everyone has to be an expert. Everyone has to show off. And I counsel you to avoid that. Be open to learning. Ask, how does that work? Why do you do that? There have been cases with total quality efforts where the question of why do we do it this way has eliminated waste up and down the organization. Mm. So to become indispensable is to be open to that opportunity. Let's see if that might have answered the question.
It did. Now, I think, before we go to the next question, I want us to actually tighten this up a little bit, because sometimes in the act of becoming indispensable, folks may think is saying yes to everything. And we want to be very careful about that. We never want to be the employee or the business partner that folks think they can take advantage of because you say yes, but then there's nothing about everything you're doing that is progressing you. So can we tighten that up? Being indispensable does not mean saying yes to everything. Being indispensable means adding value in what you have chosen to do, to the point that folks are willing to work with you, even on ideas that you probably have little knowledge on. Can we zero in on that part?
Yeah, thank you for that clarification, Nogie. That's critically important, because you can be known in not the best of ways, and you're just stretched too far, and that's going to affect your performance and how you're regarded as well. It comes for me for a discussion of brand management. Your brand. What will you be known for? How will they know you? And I think to the degree that you can convey and embody that which is important to you, because I fear that so much of the burnout in organizations today across the country is people are doing things they don't really love to do. It was a job, it's changed, the boss who brought me left, whatever's changed. And there is fear in today's economy and around change. And I'm not naive to that, but it speaks to broadening your brand beyond your employer. I'm always entertained about when I've entered an organization and you meet everybody and you're talking to everybody and you kind of think they've all been here forever and they'll all be here forever. But from the perspective of my career now, I have a much better understanding of how dynamic organizations are and how transient, in fact, organizations are, which speaks to this relationship building, because they may be leaving and they're going to hire you. They may be coming in and you can help them and they'll remember that. But I have been struck by the flow through organizations of talent. And it just speaks to being open to learning from everyone.
Okay. All right. So that's helpful, because I wanted to make sure that we don't mix those two up. Being indispensable doesn't mean you say yes to everything and do every work, and then you have a breakdown one day and you say, well, I was being indispensable. No, folks don't remember that. Folks remember value. Value is no respecter of background, gender, or race. If what you're given, you put value in it and you put a stamp on it, people will want to work with you. that's where sponsorship becomes a big deal. And we will get there. We will get there. All right. So next question, because I'm looking at time. This is so amazing. Okay. What role does networking play in being considered? This is such a nice segue, in being considered for stretch assignments, promotions, or leadership opportunities?
Yeah, when we speak of leaders, and I speak of the most valuable trait that I so respect in others and try to demonstrate personally, is that of humility, and that being open to the opportunity and knowing what you don't know, but eager to learn, is a tremendous gateway to opportunity. Playing well with others, mutual respect of colleagues, knowing what you don't know but eager to learn, makes you such a valuable resource in an organization that is populated by others who are less so. You can distinguish yourself by eagerness to learn and just that willingness to be open to. I cannot overstate this. And you know who they are. In your organization today, you know who they are. And you know how you are regarded in your organization. You have a pretty good sense of that. We're all in our careers. We all have worked with all sorts of people, whether around the world or in different functions, in different sites, wherever. And I think being that person who can be a common denominator, who can get things done, who is eager to help and learn. And as Nogie said, it does not mean that I will never say no, but you should have a rationale to that. I'd love to. And I'll tell you, come the autumn, I think I'll have time for that. But my bandwidth, as we're wrapping up this team, this project, I really do not, in good conscience, think I can sign on to that now. But if you're back in September, I'm your guy. That's I just told you no. But all I want to do now is find an opportunity to work with you because there's excitement and there's openness to learning.
You've heard it. You've heard it. So the openness to learning, that eagerness, you know what you don't know, but be open to learning is something that we cannot take lightly. But also knowing how to keep a dialogue going, even though right now you cannot do anything. So as a senior executive, I get asked so many times to speak at various events to maybe college students or organizations. And sometimes it could be a lot, right? So usually I would go, when I get the request, I would say, thank you so much for this opportunity. And it is an honor that I'm being considered. However, I cannot do this at the moment, but please think of me in future, when future opportunities arise. And they usually come back. They do. Because I never said, no, I can't do it, and I blocked them out. I said, no, today, but in the future, I would love to be considered. And they usually come back, right? So there's an art to saying no. Somebody usually would say no, and here's someone else, or even referring someone else to them who you can vouch for. That's you leveraging your network to be able to deliver. I get a lot of invitations on conferences for AI and technology. And I have colleagues that are leading AI and technology at the firm that may not even have access to those conferences. So what I do is I connect them. You know what? I may not be able to make this conference, but I know somebody who will be phenomenal in adding value to your conference. And that's how you keep building networks, right? So being at service, not only for yourself, but for others that you've connected with. All right. So my next question, another career question, is what advice would you give to someone who is excellent at their work, but not well known beyond their immediate team. This is what Deborah was asking about, right?
Yes.
You're working. I mean, you're hitting the ball out of the park. Like everybody knows that you are a star within your team, but then when they mention your name outside of your team, everybody's like, "Who's that? We don't know who that person is."
And
Brian, what do you think?
yeah, I mean, this is a potentially a trap. You can, if you allow it, become a victim of your own success in your vertical or in your department, in your function. The person who I will never share on a task force or a team because I want them fully engaged in supporting me. That is a reality. There are search firms with people who keeps your resume in his bottom drawer. He does not share it with others because I want to get that placement sometime. There are managers and organizations who do not trumpet the exceptional performance, but rather keeps it to service my parochial needs. I mean, that is a type of manager out there.
I've been there.
Yeah, hey, I mean, raise your hand. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So find alternative, and you have to be attuned to this. In political organizations, this can be troubling. And part of it might be to build your brand outside of the organization with others, with boards and with task forces and professional associations, where you can both learn and provide learning. You can build your brand to be known more broadly than just in your one organization. That's a very shallow brand if you are known in your company and in fact in your function. But there are plenty of opportunities to learn, to ask the finance guy, can I come and talk to you about your work? And then naturally they'll say, well, what are you up to? What are you doing here? Mm-hmm. And you can say, well, I've been involved in X and Y and Z. I was asked to do this. I'm responsible for that. Oh, why is it I've never heard your name? Oh, I don't know. Because if you are suffering under such a manager, that manager's propensity for this is probably well known. And I remember early in my career, I'm in HR, and the treasurer of the company came by once and said, how are you? And I was like, what is this about? And he came in and sat down and wanted to know more because someone had been telling him that I was doing X, Y, or Z and I was okay at something. And they were connecting the dots. And then he said, would you work on this team with me? And I said, well, we can talk to Rich, my manager, but I'd love to. And I don't think Rich was very happy to learn that they had independently reached out. But, it's like, golly gee, it happened. And, the fact that I had coffee with them, 3 months earlier, I was at some presentation. I was sitting next to him, building, be open to the opportunity. And you can surmount even a less than great boss in the organization. Chances are everyone else knows about them, and you may even be garnering respect for your ability to work and do your job in that environment. But don't stay too long.
You heard the answer, right? Okay. Now I want to stir things up a little bit. So Logic, let's do the raffle. If you joined us late and you haven't put in the word #connect, you may miss the chance of winning a prize. So if you haven't put in #connect since the start, you might want to do that right now.
Excuse me. I'm sorry to interrupt. Many people did it, but they put a space between the hashtag and the connect, so it didn't go through. So you have to put #connect one altogether. Right. So only at the moment, only 2 people have entered. So
okay,
everybody, please redo it.
Redo it. #connect if you want to win a prize. So while we're doing that, while everyone is correcting the #connect, let's go to the next question. And this is really for women and minorities, right? And the question is, how can women and minorities build influence in spaces where they may be underrepresented?
Yeah, a very real issue, and in surprising corners where you may not have expected. These are so real, and I wish not to sound naive, so I'm going to pre-warn, but competence is a powerful tool. Competence in your work, in being available, in being expert. Be so good that you cannot be ignored. Be so prepared. Again, if there's one theme in my thoughts today, be so prepared, and over prepared, that you cannot be dismissed or ignored. Be ready, be alert, be nobody's fool. And there is risk associated here that I, as an old white guy, did not confront about how I will be viewed if I step up. But again, preparation will let you be spontaneous. Preparation with the facts and your expertise will shine. If not, you're in the wrong place, and let's not fool ourselves. But if you are competent and expert and speak from a position of driving the success of your organization, you are unstoppable. You cannot be dismissed. And if people try, that's information for you.
That's right.
That's really good information.
Good. Okay. I'm glad you said that, because then that takes us to the next question. What does it look like to network with confidence without feeling like you have to change who you are?
Yes. The confident, it takes courage and therefore confidence to reach out. People will take note of, I got the most interesting phone call today. Brian in HR rang me and asked, if I could have coffee next week to talk about X project. That was just, a summary report somewhere, and that was interesting. I was curious, why would the HR guy, why would an HR guy, a manager level, why would that's really interesting, and so it can be a powerful driver.
You know what's so amazing? People talk, especially senior managers. They all talk. So they know folks who are networking. And, this is how your name gets mentioned in rooms that you're not in, all because you've done the job to network with people who tend to be in those rooms. And then your name comes up and they go, oh yeah, I know her. And we talked about this. Oh, you too, blah, blah. You will be amazed. But yes, that courage to write that email, to stop someone and just introduce yourself to that individual goes a long way. Like there is this wonderful billionaire that has really influenced financial services globally. And this man is so busy, but one day he was walking down the street. I didn't even notice him. It was a mentee that I was actually mentoring at that point that said, oh, did you see he just passed by? I said, wait here. Let me do something. The mentee saw me in action. I ran over to this man, stopped him, introduced myself, and said, I would love to have coffee with you. At some point, I recognize that you're busy, but I wanted to make sure I introduce myself and acknowledge who you are. And thank you for all that you do for the rest of us. This man knows who I am. And my mentee was like, wow, did you just network? I said, yes, I did the cold calling right there, because such opportunities are very hard to come by. Fast forward a few months later, I am interviewing this man for an hour. So courage. And if God is for you, who can be against you? Huh? God is for you to go, proceed.
And what is the worst that can happen? We have to rid ourselves of this, and we all have it to some extent or another. Just that fear of rejection, or I'm going to be embarrassed, or one. But you approached someone on the street, and they have a choice, and they'll either say, "I'm too busy now," go. So what? So what? I cannot tell you it won't happen. And you can laugh it off. And that's knowing your brand and your value. Well, boy, he kind of missed out on that.
Yes,
he doesn't
right.
He doesn't know who he missed today. Too bad for them. So what? Shake it off and jump in. It's a lot of fun. And you learn and you'll laugh and you'll go, boy, that person I read about and I so admired. What an asshole.
Yeah.
It happens. And
it's true. It is so true. It's so true. So I have one last question for you, Brian. But before we do that, I have the question and a few more rapid fires to stir things up. But before we do that, Logic, can we run the raffle to see who's going to be the winner of this wonderful prize that we're giving today?
So we have 21 submissions. I think some people still have a space between the hashtag and the word connect. But we'll run it. I want to give them at least one more second to try to get it in. All right, 1 second is up, I guess. I don't know.
Hey.
Oh, Oluchi, congratulations. You are the winner of the Power of Connection book by moi. Thank you very much. And you get a 50% discount to Shift 2026, which is going to be amazing, off the charts. And thank you for participating. This is amazing. Congratulations. So I will reach out to you and make sure you get your book and give you access for the early bird to Shift 2026, which, like I said, if you enjoyed this conversation today, just imagine what you would experience in person. Wow. We just completed the second in-person New Shifts Conference 2025.
I just attended New Shifts Conference 2025. The theme is light. It is such an amazing experience.
Today was amazing for me personally. It's my first time attending. I didn't know what to expect, but I'm leaving today feeling inspired to show up, inspired to let my light shine so I can redeem other people.
Such an amazing experience. I came all the way from Virginia to New York to experience it, and I've walked away feeling so much more empowered as a businesswoman.
I'm actually from Michigan, flew all the way here to attend. Honestly, this has been a very inspirational afternoon, meeting so many beautiful women of different calibers, different professional levels in life.
Today I was surrounded by a lot of powerful women of color that are leaders in their respective firms, and I really learned to basically trust more about myself and also really understand that the power is actually within me and I just have to let it shine.
The room is filled with amazing women, all accomplished, really driven, and it was just a blessing to be here. My main takeaway of today is, one, being intentional, showing up with light, showing up how you want to be seen, because it really takes work to be the people we want to be. And I think this is the most important takeaway for me, is having a clear mission and let every action be guided by that mission.
The word of my year is enlightenment and vision, and I believe that I got vision from tonight. Seeing all the ladies who have done so much amazing things in their career and being able to just hear their stories, it already gave me a good vision of what I want to build in my own career. I think that the theme light was very, very apt. I personally left here knowing that I am light and I have the opportunity to shine that light.
This has been such a important learning. I've walked away with frameworks, I've walked away with tools, and I've walked away with so much more knowledge of how to show up as a leader in my spaces.
Thank you, Nogie, and the key speakers for being such an inspiration to young women like me. And I'm so glad that this conference will continue.
I'm really happy that I came, and I feel like I'm a changed person, you know? So thank you to Nogie and everybody who put this together, and I look forward to coming again next year.
I can't wait for New Shifts 2026 to come around, share testimonies of how I've grown in my career, in my space, and be among women who are doing amazing things in their fields. Thank you.
My cup is full. I'm so excited. The room is still buzzing with a lot of energy. So are you going to join us next year to join the Shift movement?
Those were attendees from last year. And if you're on the chat and you were at Shift 2025, please share one word that touched you at Shift. And I know a number of you were there that really resonated with you. And we're going to be having such a packed one this year, right? Or was this conversation recorded? You want access to it afterwards? Let's see. But yes, it is being recorded. And yes, we would have a replay shared at some point in the near future. Okay. All right. So Brian, you have been absolutely amazing at giving us nuggets, tips, insights. And, you know, I have one question for you. Especially for the ones who are starting out in their careers, who are like, 10 years and below. Some of us are like 20 plus years. But for the 10 years and below, like if you could go back and give your younger self one networking lesson, what would it be?
Yeah, courage. Don't be afraid. Don't care too much about, they're not going to respond. You'll be shocked. I am testament to that. Just don't be afraid. Embrace it. You're going to learn. You're going to find. Some people are not. Hey, who cares? But the return to you and the force multiplier, the accelerator, that effective networking, some shamelessly networking, is going to pay dividends. It's something, I was saying, I can't promise this. I can promise you courage to walk up as Nogie did on the streets of New York, courage to reach out, to write someone, to pick up the phone, to walk into someone's office and introduce yourself pays back. It's all too rare, so you will distinguish yourself by, what? He just came in and introduced himself. I love that. We talked for 15 minutes. It's so powerful. It speaks to the humanity. It speaks to the connection. It is beyond your efforts. It just is a wonderful accelerator to your brand and your career.
And with that, what is one action that you think everyone who's attended this webinar can take with them, can do this week to shift their networking to another level? What is
you've not asked for this, and I don't want to embarrass you, but you should buy Nogie's book. I apologize. This is unrehearsed, but it is a gold mine. And it expands upon much of what we've talked about. She has no knowledge of this, but it's really helpful. And it's just, be prepared. When Nogie and I first met, we were just talking about this. I'm an old saxophone player. I love to play jazz. You come up and you improvise and you're spontaneous, but you can only afford to be spontaneous if you've done the work. You must put in the time to become expert in your work. Take pride in your work. Be curious, expand, ask for help. It all comes back tenfold.
Awesome. And just so you know, I changed the price. Like it was 50% more than what you're seeing right now. And I put this special on specifically for the Power of Connection webinar. And please go get a copy. Get a copy for your recent graduates, the ones who are just graduating. If they can have a higher level in networking, more so now than ever, it would go a long way. I wish someone gave me these tips when I just started out, but I learned and I kept going. And so I want to turn around and give others the opportunity to learn while at the same time not learning the hard way, so that they can make new heights and reach higher levels than I ever did. Okay, so get the book if you haven't gotten it. And we're going to send more information about Shift 2026. But right now, if you have any more questions for Brian and myself, we're going to open it up for 5 minutes of Q&A before we close out. And honestly, it has been joy having you all spend your Sunday indoors with us to watch this. But like I said, when I started at the beginning, that there's so much that one can learn that it's going to immediately propel your networking skills and your relationships going forward. So if you have any more questions, we're going to give you 5 minutes. Oh, I see a question. Is there an e-version of the book? There is. There is an e-version of the book that is not US based. It's actually in several countries. So it's on Amazon, and the price right now for the e-version is like $5. Because again, I changed all the prices specifically for this webinar. So go in there before I send it back to its normal price. We have like a week or so to enjoy it before we go back to normal price. So yes, capture it. Nice to meet you, Jasmine. Thank you so much. I read all your contribution. I'm excited for you. I know all the cool stuff that is coming out of your networking ability. Please keep shining. Let us know how things go. And if anyone has any more questions, let us know. But if you want to show love to Brian and all the nuggets, please show some love. Give us words of how you think the webinar has been going. I know I learned a lot. Okay, Perry just put in the Kindle version for you. I know I learned a lot today, but hey, thank you. Okay, Brian, see, all the love.
That's wonderful. It's my pleasure. Feel free to find me on LinkedIn. I'd love to continue the conversation with any of you. If I can be of any assistance, I would be honored. And Nogie, thank you so much for making this happen today.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I see all the thank you. Thank you, everyone. Very, very insightful. I know even my networking skills and my follow-up has propelled to the next level. But again, as closing, you've heard it. Preparation, curiosity, learning, hard work. It all comes with building powerful connections. Now, if you enjoyed this almost 2-hour session, just imagine what's possible when you get the book so you can apply the tips practically in your everyday. And 2, sign up for the Shifts conference coming up in October. We have your information. We're going to send emails about it. We're even going to send you the link of the testimonials of ladies who attended in the past. It is mind-blowing. Again, we can't put a price on connectivity. The Shift Conference is all about bringing like-minded, ambitious, wanting to do more women together, and having folks like Brian and Dion, who was here with us, come coach and get us ready for that next level in our authentic self. That's what we do. And it brings me so much joy to hear stories of how people have propelled and evolved and gotten promoted and, get on platforms and really showcase what value they bring to the room. So for all of you here that have taken the time to invest in yourself, we want to say a big thank you. Everybody is getting a gift, and the gift is a chapter from the book, Power of Connection. And the chapter is all about the art of balancing life and networking, because again, life be lifing, you know? We all have life, but we also have to network, right? And Brian, again, with all my heart, thank you so much for the gems that you provided, for the insights, for the encouragement, because we all need courage to keep networking, but just for being your authentic self and sharing with this wonderful group today. So,
Oh, it's been my pleasure, and I look forward to connecting with all of you in October.
Yay! Okay, and so Logic, we want to say a big thank you to our producer who made this happen, who put this together. We want to say thank you to our winner, Oluchi, for participating, and for everyone who did their hashtag. Thank you. You know, one winner, but we are all getting gifts today. So look out for your email. It is going to be amazing, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Until next time, stay beautiful or handsome, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.